Okay, for the first method of making a mandala, I'm going to open up a bright, vibrant colored photo, and I'm going to select the lasso tool. And in the lasso tool, I actually want to use the polygonal lasso tool. So I'll click on that, and I'm going to select triangle on my image. It should be a long and skinny triangle as opposed to a wide and fat one. So I'll click the 3 corners of the triangle, and to connect it back, after I hit the 3rd corner, I will double click and it connects it as the triangle here. I'm going to hit Control C to copy this, and I'm going to make a new image or new document. So File and New, and I'm going to look for whatever the bigger number is. It might be the height, it might be the width, depending on which way you made your triangle. And I'm going to take that larger one, for me it's the height, and I'm going to more than double it. So mine is almost 2,000, so I'm going to go ahead with more than double that, so 4,500. Once I pick that for the height, that will also be the width. So if you changed your width, you would also make that your height. Basically, you want a square document, and then I'm going to hit OK. Now, I'll paste that on my document, and I'm going to move it towards the outside, so that if I were to rotate this around, I would have enough room for that to circle all the way around the document. Okay, now I'm going to hit Control J to duplicate this layer. Once my layer is duplicated, I'm going to go into Edit and to Transform, and I'm going to do Rotate. You should see a crosshair in the middle of your triangle. I'm going to drag that to the inside point, the one that's at the end of the long skinny part. I'm going to leave that as close to the edge as I can. Then, once I have this arrow tool, I'm going to grab and rotate it clockwise. And I want to line up the 2 edges of the triangle as close as possible without actually overlapping it. Then I'll hit Enter to commit that layer. I'll hit Control J again to copy that new layer that I just made. Then I'll go back to Edit and Transform, and I'm going to use again, which is Shift Control T. That makes another layer, and it rotates it for me. So now I can hit Control J, Control Shift T, Control J, Control Shift T. I'm going to continue that pattern until I have made a circle. Now, unfortunately, with this method, there's no exact way of getting it to fit there. So I could play around with this and redo this until it matched up, or I could just decide that it was okay for this to happen. Now, the next thing I want to do is merge all of my layers down. So I'm going to select them all at once, and I'm going to do a right and hit Control E to merge all of them at once into a single file circle. I don't want to flatten it, I just want to merge it. The next thing I'm going to do is I want to go to the Marquee tool, which is up here, and I want to select the elliptical marquee tool, which will make a circle for me. In order to make it a circle, I need to hold down Shift. So I want to make a circle that will fit in as much of my image as possible without having extra white parts. So I want to use the arrow, my cursor, to select and move this so that it's centered as best as possible. And if that's what I like, I want to go to Select and then Inverse, and then I'm going to hit Control X or Delete. Now, I can play around with the colors of this by going to Adjust the Hue and Saturation. So if I go to Adjustments over here and then go to Hue and Saturation, I can play around with the colors, and it kind of looks like a kaleidoscope as I play with it. So I can change those, I can change the lightness, I can also go to Colorize that we've used before and pick one color and then go with the Hue and Saturation, or I can undo Colorize and just play around with what it might look like until I have one that I like. So I'm going to save this and use a second method for the other one.